So we're going to take that before and after concept one step further in today's video with some advanced thinking. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor. It's really great being able to show how a design looks, but it's even more impressive if they can actually experience the design itself, as well as understand how it feels and how it behaves. Learn more about Framer later in today's video. So here is the first design, and it's trying to raise awareness of plastic pollution in our oceans. It's a great cause, but it's a bad design unfortunately, and we're soon going to see why. But firstly, what does the design do correctly? I'm going to be frank, the pros for this design are quite few. But for a start, I really like the concept. If you couldn't tell, we actually have an image of plastic or rubbish made to look like sushi rolls. This design is a classic example of an amazing design concept which has been carried out with poor execution. I absolutely love this concept, and soon we're going to build a design around it together. But yeah, I guess we could also say the design is quite minimal with lots of negative space, or shall I say it's kind of minimal. But anyway, let's build a new design from the ground up. We essentially have a blank canvas, and I've kept the original design off to the right as a kind of reference point. Thinking about this design, where would you personally start? Now I think I want to make a focal point, and a good choice here would be the concept, that being the image of the pollution or rubbish sushi rolls down below. The next step is going to dictate the entire design, and so the choices you make need to be grounded firmly. Looking at the image of that sushi roll pollution, what feelings do you get? Is it a dainty kind of comforting image? No, it's not. It's a very dirty, a very harsh and a blunt impacting kind of image. With that in mind, the typography in the original design simply doesn't match. The original design uses playful, kind of informal, non-impacting fonts, and this is a clear mismatch or disconnect within the message. We want to create typography that is blunt and hard-hitting, so here are my choices, and for now let's just disregard color. I've gone for, yes, you've guessed it, a bold sans serif font for the upper two lines, and then a more rugged looking font for the goes into you section. Now I've made sure to keep the sizing pretty much equal to the image below, just for visual harmony's sake. The first color I'm going to add is blue, and this can be seen in the middle of those plastic sushi rolls. Connecting color like this throughout the design is a great hack, and more about that later in today's video. The typeface I chose here was Hansief, that's H-A-N-S-I-E-F, and that typeface does come with a normal choice of font, but also, as you can see here, a textured font. I feel like this textured option really adds to that kind of rugged and polluted sense you get from the sushi rolls, and I think it just complements it. You always want to be thinking in this kind of way when designing something. You want to try and grasp the message or the tone of the message, and then make design choices around that notion. So I've then gone ahead and made the now section red so it really stands out from the design. Notice how I haven't used dark grey or black for the other areas of typography. This was done on purpose, and I did try to use a darker choice for the typography, but it kind of overpowered the blue type, and also it tried to compete with the focal point below being that main image. I then finally went ahead and added their logo in the bottom corner, and this is just a minor addition that's not really that important. But yes, side by side, here is the before and after design, and I'm pretty happy with how this message and the concept was delivered in the revision. But let's move on to the next one. Here's our second design today, which is kind of a social media marketing design for Spotify. And yes, every design you see today in this video is how I personally came across them and found them online. So instead of looking at the pros for this one, let's take a look at some cons. What did this design do badly? Using your eye for design, what do you think is wrong here with this final outcome? For today's video, it was quite difficult finding bad design, and actually that was one of the longest aspects of making this video, was just finding bad design that top brands are putting out. Anyway, I think the orange colour really does not work well on this specific background. The two colours cause a kind of disharmony when put together, and the text just comes across as really jarring. Also, every bit of typography uses the same colour, even the logo and the website down below. Now this renders the design boring and it kind of lacks focus. Those are the two main issues I have with this design, and that's what I'm going to aim to resolve with my revisions. We're again starting with an almost blank canvas. I've left the focal point as it is. But yeah, I noticed the hand has white painted nails, and a lot of the phone itself is actually white. So I think matching that white color into the text is a great move. I decided to keep the orange on one of the words of the main heading just for some interest and visual attention grabbing factor. For the next section of the text, I did continue with white, and actually on my Adobe Illustrator screen it looked just fine. However, looking at it now after a video render, it is pretty difficult to read. Now I'm not sure if that would be the case when viewing this design online and not in a video. But anyway, I decided to go for black just to increase that legibility. Notice the style of the sentence casing on the main heading. It uses capital letters just at the beginning of the sentence and the rest are in lowercase. Now this works because this part of the text is almost like a message or a quote. It's literally somebody speaking to you through the design. Below the typography we have the Twitter icon, and for this I wanted to really hit home the visual connotations of Twitter, and so I chose the iconic blue logo to really get into the minds of the people about Twitter. I also think it just looks neater and it continues that theme of hierarchy from a color perspective. And then to finish off the design, I use more white with the second and also the last section of orange. You can really see how the first design was overloaded with that orange color when it's set side by side with my design. The new design looks fresher and it's just easier going on the eyes. I did keep the layout the same because I feel like it's pretty well balanced and the choice of fonts was on the money as well. So the third design in today's video is a landing page for a VR headset. And right off the bat, you should be considering just that, the VR headset. It's a tech niche, and so you want to base your decisions around that niche sector, and also the kind of people who are in that niche. But what does this design do wrong? Well, it's not a terrible design at all, but there are some things I personally would change. For a start, this buy now section isn't attention grabbing. Considering the main point of this design is to get somebody to buy the product, this design choice is pretty bad. The next point is more subjective, and I don't like how far apart the leading has been set on the main text. The leading is the spacing between each line of text, in case you didn't know. The layout is good enough because it has balance on two sides with the focal point image dividing them down the middle. But I personally want to change things up a tiny bit. So I'm just going to fast forward and show you the changes for this one. Now you can see I've tightened the leading on the main text, and I have really made the buy now option visually attention seeking. Again, my tried and tested method of linking colors has been used, and that's by grabbing that deep vibrant pink and making use of it in different areas of the design. The design now has balance in a different way because I've enlarged the focal point and then I've shifted all text content onto one side. But yeah, again, this is subjective, and for me, it personally looks better this way, and you might or you might not agree when seeing both designs side by side. Lastly, the typeface I chose for the main typography is more futuristic and more modern looking, and I think that appeals to the niche viewer of this design a whole lot more. So last week I gave you guys a headphone poster to redesign, and you came up with some really interesting designs. There were so many awesome ones, so if you don't see a design in today's video, don't think it's because it was bad, it's just that I had to choose 3 out of about like 70 or 80. The first design I chose was by Hasnain, and I really like this design because the layout and the typography choices were really good. I would have maybe liked to see the Studio 2.0 and the Beats by Dre horizontal, and I know the designer did this on purpose, but I'm just curious to see how it would look. Also, the 2-year warranty motif is pretty cool too. The next design was by Olio, and I absolutely love the layout composition on this design. It looks so clean and it just works really well together. This was a great way to elevate the original design for sure. The third and final design choice was by Penchant Mind, and again, I really like the simplicity in the layout. Maybe the headphones could have been placed slightly differently, but all in all, it's a really great design. I didn't have time to set up a new kind of project for you guys to work on, but in the next video, that is before and after style based, I will do just that. So interactive prototyping is the best way to communicate your app or your website idea. The sponsor of today's video, Framer, is a no-code, free-to-use tool making it easy for anyone to become a prototyper. You can insert pre-built interactive components in seconds, sliders that actually slide, and inputs that can be filled, as well as buttons that can actually be clicked. Or of course, you can create your own, complete with every state and variation you need. And that's all completely code-free thanks to the new Smart Components release. Sign up to Framer today at framer.com/Satori. And that link is going to be down in the description box below. And if you want to see more content, just click a video on screen. Until next time, design your future today. Peace.